Afternoon and evening to all my fellow Americans. It feels good to be back in office again. I know a lot are excited about me being back in office. Who should be most excited are my blacks, who are the real Israelites. They will be given rulership forever. All praises to the Most High. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all my fellow Americans. It feels good to be back in office again. I know a lot are excited about me being back in office. Who should be most excited are my blacks, who are the real Israelites. They will be given rulership forever. All praises to the Most High. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all my fellow Americans. It feels good to be back in office again. I know a lot are excited about me being back in office. Who should be most excited are my blacks, who are the real Israelites. They will be given rulership forever. All praises to the Most High. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all my fellow Americans. It feels good to be back in office again. I know a lot are excited about me being back in office. Who should be most excited are my blacks, who are the real Israelites. They will be given rulership forever. All praises to the Most High. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all my fellow Americans. It feels good to be back in office again. I know a lot are excited about me being back in office. Who should be most excited are my blacks, who are the real Israelites. They will be given rulership forever. All praises to the Most High. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all my fellow Americans. It feels good to be back in office again. I know a lot are excited about me being back in office. Who should be most excited are my blacks, who are the real Israelites. They will be given rulership forever. All praises to the Most High. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all my fellow Americans. It feels good to be back in office again. I know a lot are excited about me being back in office. Who should be most excited are my blacks, who are the real Israelites. They will be given rulership forever. All praises to the Most High. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all my fellow Americans. It feels good to be back in office again. I know a lot are excited about me being back in office. Who should be most excited are my blacks, who are the real Israelites. They will be given rulership forever. All praises to the Most High. Good morning, afternoon, and
In the light. In the light. Understand to a spiritual life. Talk about your mama like that.
You know what? I know
Those that received him, that will. In the light.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, Yashala. We back here for another Sabbath. All praises to the Most High. Today we're not going to be on the streets of Hollywood today. Apparently they're having a movie premiere out there. They're having a movie premiere out there. So pretty much all Hollywood is closed. So Most High willing, we back on the streets next week. But as always, we're going to continue to bring out this word. We're going to continue to bring out this knowledge, into the chariots fly, right? So let's actually open up with the book of Colossians real quick, chapter 3 and verse 17. Hopefully today will be a very impactful and very edifying class. But as always, let's start off with the book of Colossians 3 and 17. You got that, Yashamai?
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all by Hasham Hamashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Father, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father, Basham Hamashiach Yahushai.
Right. So everything that we do, and we say we do it all in the name of the anointed Savior. So, we have been continuing doing the narratives of our former ancestors that was here before us, the ones who built America for 400 years with no form of pay, right? So we're going to listen to the audio, a reenactment audio of Sister Sarah Gudger of North Carolina. This sister was actually 121 years old. I repeat that, 121 years old. And this is going to segue into what our class is going to be about today, right? Which is pride. So let me pull this up. Bear with me for a second.
No, I never know what it was to rest. I just work all the time from morning till late at night. I had to do everything they wanted to do.
Let me know, are y'all able to hear that? Let me know if y'all are able to hear that and able to see it. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear and see the audio. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear and see. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear and see. I'm going to play it again.
On the outside, work in the field, chop wood, hoe corn, till sometimes I feel like my back surely break. I done everything except split rails. You know they split rails back in them days. Well, I never did split no rails. Old Ma strop us good if and we did anything he didn't like. Sometime he get his dander up and then we dancing the ground at him. Else he tie your hands for your body and whip you just like you a mule. Lord, honey, I stuck 1,000 lashings in my day. Sometimes my poor old body be so for weak. Oh, boss.
Fair use, fair use, fair use.
He send us niggas out to any kind of weather. Rain or snow, it never matter. We had to go to the mountains, cut wood, and drag it down to the house. Many of the time we come in with our clothes stuck to our poor cold bodies.
Let me stop right there. Because I do want to kind of dissect this a little bit. Our sister said, that she was whipped so much that their clothes actually stuck to their bodies. Now, in order for your clothes to stick to your body, that means that blood was drawn. So blood was drawn from their back. And remember, when they were whipped with a cat of nine tail, right? And so that blood would dry up on their back from that cold weather. And when they would go inside their home, right? The shirts are literally stuck to their body. Can you imagine that? Having a shirt stuck to your body because you have been whipped so bad?
But 'twant no use to try to get them dry. If the old boss or the old missy see us, they get on out of here, yo black thing, and get your work out in the way. And Lordy, honey, we know to get, else we get the lash. They didn't care how old or how young you was, you never too big to get the lash.
Stop right there. It doesn't matter how old you were, if you were young or old. This woman was 121 years old when she passed away. So she's seen a good portion of chattel slavery. So she's seen the youngest getting whooped. I mean, I have I bring it to camp. The youngest on the slave manifest I have that I bring to camp is 4 months old, right? So you imagine a 4-month-old getting whooped because they won't stop crying. Can you imagine that some newborns were actually killed because they wouldn't stop crying? So could you imagine that from the youngest to oldest person out on them fields? Because you were pretty much worked until you couldn't work no more, until your back literally would break. So could you imagine being an 80-year-old man, an 80-year-old woman, and you're getting whooped because you're not working fast enough, because you're not like how you used to be when you were younger. You don't have that strength. That strength has now left you. You don't have it no more. and you are an 80-year-old woman, 80-year-old man that can't move the same speed anymore, and you're getting whooped. This sister is telling this story. And like I said, I'm going to make it my mission to constantly bring out these stories every single week that I'm teaching at camp or online, because these are stories and narratives that we don't know about. We don't hear this history. We hear the history of Christopher Columbus, right? We hear the history of Alexander the Freak. We hear the history of George Washington and the cherry tree and all that nonsense. But we don't hear the stories of Sister Sarah Gudger. We don't hear the stories of Mary Reynolds. We don't hear these stories. Instead, we hear our oppressor's history. We hear our oppressor's story. So this is why we have to constantly know our past, because we are definitely repeating it right now. We're repeating our past right now when we don't want to come back to the Most High. This is why we cannot get out these shackles, these chains that we have been placed in. Let's listen on.
The rich white folk never did no work. They had darkies to do it for them. In the summer,
Wait. The sister said these white folks never did no work. Nothing's changed. They still don't do no work. You can go to your place of employment, and it's going to be a Israelite that's going to be outperforming everybody, but the so-called white man is going to get all the credit for it. All the credit for it. They still don't do no work. Esau is just as lazy as he was back then as he is today.
we had to work outdoors in the winter in the house. I had a card and spin till 10 o'clock. Never get much rest. And to get up at 4 the next morning and start again. Didn't get much to eat neither. Just a little cornbread and
This is something I can relate to. Getting up at 4 the next morning to do it all over again. You go to bed when it's you finally get home from work when it's dark and can't see, and you get up again when it's can't see. And you do the cycle over and over and over again. And you don't get much rest. You don't get much to eat. After working for probably over 15, 16 hours, 17 hours, or however long is daylight outside. And you don't get much to eat. We can relate to this.
molasses. Lordy, honey, y'all can't know what a time I had. All cold and hungry. No, I ain't telling no lies. It's the gospel truth. Sure is. I remember well how I used to lie awake till all the folks were sleeping, then creep out in the door and walk barefoot in the snow about 2 miles to my old auntie's house. I knowed when I get there, she fixed hot corn pone with slice of meat and some milk for me to eat. Auntie was good to us darkies. I never sleep on a bedstead till after freedom. No.
For those that are just joining, we're listening to the reenactment of Sister Sarah Gudger, who was 121 years old. Now, this woman said she never slept on a bed until after freedom. And most of us complain about little simple, frivolous things. This woman never slept on an actual bed until after emancipation, when they were emancipated from these plantations. I mean, really let that seep in. So when we're complaining about a back pain, when we're complaining about aches and stuff like that, think about this woman who was whooped, who was barely fed, and where she slept at. Think about that. These are our ancestors right here. Nobody's going to tell this story for us. Nobody's going to bring these stories to our children. This is why this is our duty to do this.
Till after freedom. Just an old pile of rags in the corner. Hardly enough to keep us from freezing. Lord, child. Nobody knows how mean darkies was treated. Well, they was better to the animals than to us.
The sister said they were better to the animals than they were to us. So when we got people like, Bryce Crawford that want to label us as a hate group and a racist group and everything like that, they treated animals better than us. But we're the racist cult. We have never put nobody in no chains. We had never had nobody sleep on floor in the freezing cold weather in the dead of winter, and the only thing that keeps them warm is some rags. But we are the ones that hate. I mean, give me a break here. And people still hate us to today. People still want us to be put back into that same situation. People still want to they don't want to pay us for what we're worth. But we are the hate group, right?
My first old Moss was a good old man, but the last one, he was rabid. He sure was rabid. My child, times ain't no more like they used to be than the day and night am like. In my day and time, all the folks worked. If they had no niggas, they worked themselves. If the children was too small to hold, they pulled weeds. Now the big bottom of the Swannanoa, that used to grow hundreds bushel of green in just a playground. I like to see the children in the field. Why now they fight you like wildcat if it ever been talked about. That's the reason time's so hard. No farming. Why, I can remember old Missy, she say, this generation will pass away and a new generation will come along.
Let's get a precept for what the sister Sarah just said. Yashima, would you go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse number 4? So the sister says, this generation passed away and another one cometh along. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 4.
Ecclesiastes 1 and 4. One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever.
You see that? Let's rewind what the sister just said. This is how you know that we are the people of the scriptures. Let's run it back a little bit from what the sister just said.
I can remember old Missy, she say, this generation will pass away and a new generation will come along.
You see that? We knew the scriptures back then. She said, this generation passeth away and another one cometh along. Let me continue it.
That's just it. Every generation gets weaker and weaker.
Hold up. The sister said, every generation gets weaker and weaker. So one generation comes and another one cometh along, and then the generations, they get weaker and weaker. Yashima, would you go to the book of St. Matthew, chapter 17 and verse 17?
It's Matthew 17 and 17. Then Mashiach Yahushai answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation.
So it says, "Oh, faithless and perverse generation." Let's get a quick definition of that word perverse. So this is perverse. It says wicked, unnatural, a degenerate. This is from Edom Online. Wicked, unnatural, a degenerate, a perverse, a contrary. So these generations that are coming along that have gotten weaker and weaker are degenerate generations. Degenerate generations. They're unnatural generations. And this is going to segue right into our lesson about pride, right? Because each generation becomes more and more prideful. We're talking about a woman that lived through chattel slavery. She did this interview in 1937. My grandfather was born in 1931, I believe, right? So we're not far off from this. These were literal recordings that are inside of the in the Congress, in the Library of Congress, where you can literally listen to the actual real voice of our ancestors. If you just do some simple Google searches, you know. So this is a first-hand account of what happened to us. This is a first-hand account about our legacy, right? This is our history right here. That we don't have to read it in a book. We can actually literally hear the voices of them, right? Read that again from the top. Yashamai.
Matthew 17:17. Then Hamashiach Yahushai answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me.
You see that? Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 30, and go to verse 11. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 11.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 30 and 11. There is a generation that curseth their father.
What did that generation do?
There's a generation that curseth their father.
There's a generation that curseth their father. This is the generation that has become weaker and weaker. The generation that has no morals, right? You can go inside a store and see a child cursing out their mother, right? A wicked generation. Read on.
And doth not bless their mother.
Have no respect for their mother, right? Go ahead.
Verse 12. There's a generation that are pure in their own eyes.
That's pride right there. There's a generation that is pure in their own eyes. You can't tell me nothing. I do what I want to do. Read on.
And yet is not washed from their filthiness.
They're not washed from their filthiness. They're dirty. They're disgusting. Read on.
There's a generation. Oh, how lofty are their eyes.
How lofty are their eyes? Let's get a definition of lofty real quick. Let me pull that up on Edom Online for lofty. Lofty, exalted, of high rank, also of high purpose. Read that verse 13 again, Yashamai, Baba Kajar.
Proverbs 30 and 13. There's a generation. Oh, how lofty are their eyes.
How much they exalt themselves. This generation does nothing but self-exalt themselves. You know, I'm the best this. Nobody's better than me. I can pull the most men. I can pull the most women. Look at my car. Look at my house. I put out the best music. This is a generation that constantly exalts themselves. That's literally what they're doing on Hollywood Boulevard right now. And this is the reason why we can't go out there and teach, because of pride, because it's a generation that exalts themselves. It's going to be nothing but a whole bunch of people walking up and down, kissing pentagrams to see some celebrities put out a movie that exalt themselves. And we're going to thoroughly get into this pride thing, right? Read on.
And their eyelids are lifted up.
Their eyelids are lifted up. They're looking at the stars, the so-called stars on this earth, which are the celebrities, your actors, your entertainers. They want to be like them. It used to be a song called, like, I want to be like Mike. How about I want to be like Hamashiach Yahushai? How about I want to be like Abraham? Go to Ecclesiasticus. Hold that real quick. We'll jump right back to it. Go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 44, and I believe verse 1 I want. We'll come back to Proverbs. Yeah, Ecclesiasticus 44 and verse 1.
It's the book of Ecclesiasticus 44 and 1.
Go ahead.
Let us now praise famous men.
Go ahead.
And our fathers that begat us.
Those famous men are talking about the prophets. Those who are we supposed to give our praise to? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, our forefathers, our foremothers. Not Denzel Washington, who fooled y'all all by admittedly kissing a man. Right? Not all these celebrities and actors like LeBron and entertainers like LeBron James, athletes that do secret rituals behind closed doors, and all it does is make you more prideful because you want to be like them? You want to pay your hard-earned money to go see these people? Go ahead and go back to Proverbs 30 again.
Proverbs 30 and 13. There's a generation. Oh, how lofty are their eyes,
Go ahead.
and their eyelids are lifted up.
Go ahead.
Verse 14. There's a generation whose teeth are as swords.
It says there's a generation whose teeth are as swords, because when you try to tell this generation something, here comes the verbal lashing. Here comes the verbal kickback. Well, what's your you know, you say, you know, what's your nationality, sister? I'm Christian. I ain't here for all that. I'm here just to have a good time. I ain't come out here to be taught the Bible. It comes back on you. Well, I can be what I want to be. If I want to be a woman and I was born a man, I'm going to be that. If I want to be a homosexual, I'll be that. Right? Read that again.
Proverbs 30 and 14. There's a generation whose teeth are as swords.
This is a generation that will curse you the hell out. Read on.
And their jaw teeth as knives.
Go ahead.
To devour the poor from off the earth.
To devour the poor. And through the spirit, we represent those poor. We represent those meek. The brothers that go out on these street corners, we represent those meek-hearted, those poor people. We are those ones that are getting spiritual daggers and jagged teeth ready to devour us. Our own people come at us. You know, our own people play the coon. Our own people play the defender of these other nations, chiefly the so-called white man. Read on.
Jaw teeth as knives to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men.
You see that? And the needy from among the men. And our people are the ones, we are the needy. We are the ones that need this information. And then when we get a brother or sister that's wanting to listen, like a little one, or someone's listening, what you got? You got their parent pulling them away. Come on, you know, we got to finish up our vacation. We got to finish up our tour, right? Let's go back to let's finish up with the sister real quick.
Didn't they talk about going back to old times? That time done gone. They never meet that time again. I can remember old Missy, she say, this generation will pass away and a new generation will come along. That's just it. Every generation gets weaker and weaker. Didn't they talk about going back to old times?
Let's get that part right that she said. She says every generation gets weaker and weaker. Go to 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and verse 14 and go to verse 17. Yes, I think, hold on. Let me see. Make sure that's it. 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and verse 17.
It's 2nd Ezra 14 and 17. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age.
You see that? It says, for look how much the world shall become weaker with age. The world is getting weaker because we have gotten further and further away from the Most High. And we have become more and more prideful. So this is why the world has become weaker and weaker with age. We have lost our morality. Read that again from the top.
2nd Ezra 14:17. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age.
Go ahead.
So much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein.
So much as for the evils increase. They say that pride is one of the 7 deadly sins, which we are going to thoroughly get into today. It says, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. Because this world is not getting more and more righteous. This world is not getting better and better and better over time. This world is decaying over time. The longer we're in this place, the more wicked it gets. Read that part again, brother.
For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein.
Read on.
For the time is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand.
Uh-huh.
For now hasteth the vision to come, which thou hast seen.
That vision is the destruction. That vision is thermonuclear war. And this is why we have to come back to the Most High, and we have to lose pride. So today we're going to talk about how we have been infected with a parasite called pride. How we have been affected with a parasite called pride. So let me first and foremost, let me pull out what a parasite is. Give me 1 second. Okay. So a parasite. It says, what are parasites? Parasites are organisms that live in, on, or with another organism host. They feed, grow, or multiply in a way that harms their host. So let's stop right there. So a parasite, it needs a host to feed off of, right? This is the same with pride. When a child is young, right, they are pretty much like a sponge. They want to absorb every single thing that you teach them. And by the time they get a certain age, let's say about 5 or 6 years old, they're pretty much going to just be open ears to what you give to them. So they don't know nothing about pride. They want to know. A child is very humble. This is why we have to be born again, because when you're born again, you come not knowing anything. But when you get a certain age, now you're solidified in your thinking and you're very prideful and nobody can tell you nothing. This is why we can't talk to our family members. This is why we can't talk to people that are on the streets, right? Because they have been so filled with pride. And pride multiplies. Pride gets bigger and bigger. Let me read that part again. It says, they feed, grow, or multiply in a way that harms their host. So pride becomes very harmful. A parasite, it reproduces inside of you. A parasite has a family. A parasite takes nest in you. It has a whole life cycle where it's born, it lives a life, and then it dies. It reproduces, and those eggs are hatched. That's the same thing with pride. Pride is set inside of you, and then you learn something else that may be false, and then you learn something else, which leads to something else. And the next thing you know, you are a person that's just full of nothing but pride. And you get this pride from the things that you watch. Maybe it's from the celebrities. Maybe it's from the actors, the entertainers. Maybe it's from your parents. Right? You say, hey, my mama, for all her life, she ate pork. Ain't nothing happened to her. My grandma ate pork before her. My dad did this. And he came out, he smoked cigarettes for 30 years. And now you find yourself smoking cigarettes. And now you find yourself telling that same story, regurgitating that same story. Well, so-and-so did it, I can do it. And now someone tried to tell you, brother, in the scriptures, it says you shouldn't eat pork. It's in black and white. But because you have that pride, you cannot listen to what you're being told. You cannot listen to the words of the Most High. You can't listen to the words out of the Bible. When it says thou shalt not eat pork, when it says thou shalt not destroy your body in your temple by putting tattoos on you, by smoking cigarettes and doing the so forth. So pride is nothing but a spiritual parasite. And we have to actually have a parasite cleanser to cleanse this pride out of our system. And that parasite cleanser is actually the scriptures. It's the Holy Bible. It's the Most High's words. Let me go back to that again. It says, however, they need their host for their survival. So these celebrities, these entertainers, they need your attention for their survival. In order to keep those big, nice mansions in Malibu and Calabasas and wherever they live at in the world, they need your attention. So they're the parasite, and your body is the host. Your attention span is the host. Your spirituality is the host. So these parasites feed off you and they drain your pockets dry. You say, oh, so and so, my favorite celebrity. You insert the name. They just bought a $200,000 car. Now you need one, so you can just be prideful. Oh, so and so got the new Balenciaga boots. Now you need some, so you can tell somebody else how little they are because they don't have it. They not up on your level. That's pride right there, and that's what we see all day walking up and down Hollywood. It's pride. But just understand that pride is nothing but a parasite. And a parasite is different from a virus. A virus, it burns out over time. But a parasite, it actually reproduces. It has a life cycle. And if you don't purge your body of that parasite, then that parasite is going to eventually kill you over time. It's going to eventually constantly destroy you or get you to the point where you're about to die, but you don't really die because that parasite needs you still so he can live or so it can live. Just like that celebrity. They need you. They need your money. They need your soul so they can constantly go on. Let me continue to read. It says, for this reason, they rarely kill their hosts. Right? So this is why these entertainers are not going to blatantly come out and let us know that we are the Israelites. You know, I'm hearing words about the new Kendrick Lamar and how he's saying again that we are the Israelites, but not blatantly saying that we are the Israelites, putting in the coded language because he still needs that money, right? He still needs that money so he can survive. So he's going to hit you here and there with a little something. You know, they're not going to all the way destroy you. They're just going to give you just enough to keep you living, to keep you on the edge, to keep you coming back. It says, for this reason, they rarely kill their hosts, but they often carry diseases that can be life-threatening. And if you don't come back to this, to the word of the Most High, and you don't let go of this pride, then your life is going to, your life is in jeopardy. You're in jeopardy of catching the lake of fire, right? Let's see. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 28. Actually, before we go there, let's get a definition real quick of pride. Get a definition of pride. Okay, could you, I'm going to share the screen if you can read this, Yashamai. Let me see. All right, could you read this definition of pride?
One. It says pride, unreasonable self-esteem.
So pride is unreasonable self-esteem. Like it's not, it doesn't make no sense. It don't make no sense if you're living paycheck to paycheck to spend your last dollar on some Balenciaga boots. It don't make no sense for it's unreasonable for you to be living in the projects, but yet you pull up in a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. You know, that's what you call prideful. Read that part again, brother.
Pride, unreasonable self-esteem.
Go ahead.
Especially as one of the deadly sins.
Go ahead.
Haughtiness.
So it says haughtiness, right? Let's go over that real quick. Haughtiness. Could you go to the book of let me see. I think it's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Chapter, let me see. 23. And go to verse 4. Ecclesiasticus 23 and verse 4. And I'm going to get a definition before you read that of haughtiness. So it says haughtiness, high in one's own estimation or opinion. So in your own opinion, you think that you are the SHIT. You think you the man, right? That's what haughtiness is. High in your own opinion. And so in your opinion, you all that. And you walk with a prideful look and an arrogant look. Could you read that verse, Ecclesiasticus 23 and verse 4, please?
Ecclesiasticus 23:4. O Most High, Father and power of my life, give me not a proud look.
Stop right there. It says, give me not a proud look. So if you're dealing with pride, or if you don't ever want to deal with pride, we have to ask the Most High, do not give us a proud look. Read on.
But turn away from thy servants always a haughty mind.
Turn away from us a mind that we think that we're all that in our own opinion. That's what we have to turn away from, right? Go to let's go back to that definition of pride real quick. So the first one, it says haughty, haughtiness, right? Read the next one, overbearing, right? That means we can't be someone that's always barking out orders. Overbearing treatment of others. Pomp, meaning that pomp is the same thing as being arrogant, and a love of display. Right. So let's go to the book of let me see, what is it? Let's go to the book of Isaiah 28 and verse 1. Isaiah 28 and verse 1.
Isaiah 28:1. Woe to the crown of pride.
It says woe, meaning destruction to the crown of pride, meaning that we have to get rid of it, because people that have pride will be destroyed. Go to the book of jump down to verse 7.
Isaiah 28:7. But they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way.
Go ahead.
The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision.
Stop right there.
They stumble.
It says they err in vision. When you have a lot of pride, nobody can't tell you nothing, so you don't see the vision because you're stuck in your own ways. You're set in your own ways. You can't see. Actually, we're gonna hold that real quick. I'm gonna pull up a definition of vision. Let me get a definition of vision. So it says visions from Edom Online. It says something seen in the imagination or in the supernatural. So when the Bible says that they err in vision, they cannot see the spiritual side of these scriptures right here. They can't see, they can't extract that out of here to get rid of, because of their pride. They can't get rid of their pride because they don't see the vision. They don't see how keeping these laws are beneficial to you. So they err in the vision. Read on.
They stumble in judgment.
Meaning they stumble at the law. Meaning you try to tell them the laws, the statutes, the commandments. Brother, don't hate your brother. Don't be a whoremonger. Don't sleep with another man's wife. Don't be a drunkard. Don't be a liar, a murderer. They stumble at this. They don't see it because of their pride. That pride which was taught to them by someone else and was passed on. How a parasite is passed on. A parasite can be passed on through touching something, through drinking something, through bodily fluids. These are how parasites are passed on. This is how pride is passed on. Through watching something or watching somebody that you want to be like, and now you become prideful and you stumble at judgment. You stumble at the law. Let's go to the book of actually read verse 8.
Isaiah 28:8. For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness.
So it says, for all tables, right? Those tables is talking about your mind. Your mind is full of vomit and filthiness. Read on.
So that there is no place clean.
Go to the so when you vomit, you expel something. Go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, and verse 9, real quick. We're gonna jump back to that.
Jeremiah 17 and 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?
That's talking about your mind. Your mind wants to do wicked things. So when it's talking about the tables is full of vomit, your mind is full of wicked things. Wicked things that we have been taught as a child and we carry on into our adult years, and it's so hard and we become so stubborn to break these habits. It's so hard to tell Big Mama I ain't coming over for Thanksgiving. Big Mama don't understand that because her mind is desperately wicked. She's been doing Thanksgiving for as long as she can remember. She wants to see the family together and she wants the family to eat her soul food. Big Mama wants to see all the little children and everything around the Christmas tree with presents. She wants to you to open up that gift on Christmas Eve. And they sit back and drink eggnog and Jameson, right? This is what our mind wants to do. It's desperately wicked. It's desperately wants to be in sin. Read verse 10.
Jeremiah 17 and 10. I, the Most High, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings.
So this is all about correction, correcting that pride. And we can't shun correction. Go back to the book of Isaiah, chapter 28. And read verse 8 again. Yeah, read verse 8 again.
Isaiah 28 and 8. For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness.
Let's talk about your mind. Your mind is full of vomit and filthiness, right? Go ahead.
So that there is no place clean.
Go ahead.
Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
Go ahead.
Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast.
So in order to understand proper knowledge, you first have to be weaned from the milk. You know, this is the first steps into understanding, right? Is to get that collagen. These are the first steps, getting that spiritual collagen, which is the basic laws, the fundamentals. This is why people, they always say, you know, I know Jesus, I have a relationship with Jesus. We hear it every single week. You know, I have a relationship with God. But these people haven't been weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast because they're full of pride. That's a prideful and arrogant thing to say. You know, a lot of times what we'll see out at camp is we'll see a little child about 5 years old, 6 years old, all in their innocency, right? And their parent will be buying some tickets for the celebrity tours, and that child will literally be stuck there looking at us and listening to the word. We got brothers online that can vouch for that. They will literally, am I lying, Yashimai?
Nope.
We see it. We'll see the little ones literally listen, right? And then their parents will pull them off. Their parents will take them away. Let's go. It's time to go. But the child really wants to hear it. That's because that child has that humble spirit. That child has that innocent spirit. That child is not full of pride like the adults, like their parents are. Read on.
Precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little.
That's all we come with. We come with the precepts so our people can understand, but our people don't want to hear it because they have been given their own precepts of the world. They have been given their own prideful precepts, right? Read on.
For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
Go ahead.
To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing. Yet they would not hear.
Yet they will not what?
Yet they would not hear.
They will not hear because they're prideful. That pride does not allow them to hear. Read verse 13.
Isaiah 28 and 13. But the word of the Most High was unto them precept upon precept.
John
Precept
3:16, right? Here you go. Slow down real quick. So it says, but the word of the Most High was unto them precept upon precept, because now they're coming with their own justification on why they don't need to listen to you. This is their own justification. This is verse 13. This is how they justify their prideful behavior and their manners and why they continue on with whatever they're doing in their wickedness, right? Read that again. 13.
But the word of the Most High was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they may go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken.
You see, because their precepts is Galatians 3:28, Jew neither Gentile. Now let's go to John 3:16. Everybody can be saved. And they hear these precepts right here, and they put these precepts together erroneously, and then they fall backwards into their wicked belief system. And now you can't tell them nothing because that's what they learn. That's what they learned inside of their church. That's what they learned from the television. We all need to hold hands. All kumbaya. But we just literally listened to Sister Sarah Gudger, and for those that are just tuning in, you want to rewind it back to the beginning when we listened to a 121-year-old woman by the name of Sarah Gudger, who was in slavery, in chattel slavery, and told you the horrors of slavery. And every single week we do the same thing. We read about the story of Mary Reynolds. You know how she watched a woman escape slavery. The dogs had chased her down. They pulled her out of a tree, and the slave owner instructed the dogs to eat her breast. You can look this woman up, Mary Reynolds. And the woman lived and survived with no breasts. We read the stories about Sister Ann Proctor, right? Who got beaten for eating a biscuit that was just lying around. She was beaten with a cat o' nine tail. Blisters burst on her, and they rubbed salt and cayenne and pepper, red pepper, inside of her womb. But yet again, we forget about all of that. John 3:16, Galatians 3:28, and we got the misunderstanding of that, and we fall backwards. Well, we forget about that. Oh, that's just in the past. Forget about that. You know, that's ancient. Let bygones be bygones. Read verse 13 again, brother.
Isaiah 28:13. But the word of the Most High was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken.
You see that? This is how they create doctrines like the Trinity doctrine, right? Oh, John 1:1. And then they go through John 1:1 erroneously, and then they line it up with another precept that don't match it. And then what happens? They fall backwards. The next thing you know, they get very prideful. They get very puffed up, and everything you got to say, they don't want to hear it. They don't even want to go through it to see, so you can show them. Because we can speak. I can speak for Shield of Wisdom. We are always willing to learn. If we don't know something, we don't have no pride and say that we don't know. You know, or let us get back to you about that. Or if you show us something and it's something new, like for instance, LORD. Once we learn that LORD was wrong to say, we're not going to hold up all this pride and keep on using LORD. We're going to correct ourselves. Using AMEN. We're not going to have so much pride where we're going to continue using AMEN. You know, now recently we learned about how brothers say Bahasham Hamashiach Yahushai, that using that extra ha is saying the. So we don't have nothing else that's not going to allow us to change, because we have to constantly be people. We have to constantly be a person that's open to learning new things. So you're not supposed that Baha is just Basham Hamashiach Yahushai, and we got brothers that still saying Shem. They just don't want to learn. They want to stay in their pride and their arrogancy. And this is what this is all about. It's all about change. This truth is all about change. How you learned about this truth and you developed in this truth and whatnot. Don't think just because you learned a few precepts, that's it. Because if you stay stuck in those ways, you're no better than what it's teaching us in Isaiah 28 and verse 13. We're just going to fall backwards. So we here, at Shield of Wisdom, we don't have no problem with changing something if we find out that it was wrong. We don't got no pride in that. We are willing to humble down and make that adjustment. Let's go to read verse 14. Isaiah 28 and 14.
Isaiah 28 and 14. Wherefore hear the word of the Most High, ye scornful men.
It says, hear the word, ye prideful men. Because we tell our people, look, that Trinity doctrine is not biblical. You can't find it nowhere. It just goes against everything that the scripture has to say. And this is the reason why I didn't want to really deal with that dude, Bryce, on the corner like that. First and foremost, we ain't out there for Esau anyway. I try to tickle the dude's fancy a little bit and engage with him for a little while and stuff like that. But then he says he got so prideful. Why am I talking to you? That's what he said to me. And you know what? Why am I talking to you? He's a prideful man. Esau is the original prideful man. And then us, we become copies of Esau and become prideful just like Esau. Read that again, brother.
Isaiah 28:14. Wherefore hear the word of the Most High, ye scornful men.
Go ahead.
That rule this people which is in Jerusalem.
You see that? Read on.
Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with damnation are we at agreement.
You see, and these scornful men that rule Jerusalem is talking about our leaders right here. Your T.D. Jakes, the leaders that the so-called white man put in charge. Read on.
When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge.
We have done what?
And we have made lies our refuge.
We have made lies our refuge. The Trinity is a lie. The virgin birth, as Christians believe it, is a lie. So when you made lies your refuge, that means you have now become prideful. Pride has now become your refuge. Read on.
And under falsehood have we hid ourselves.
Under lies, under pride have we hid ourselves. Right? Go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 1. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 1. And Shabbat Shalom for all the brothers and sisters that have joined us today. We're talking about pride, and this is stemmed off of Sister Sari Gudger, who was 121 years old, and she talked about her legacy. So this is what this class has been inspired by. It's been inspired by this sister who had had lived a very, very humble life, and how we have gotten weaker and weaker over time and become very, very prideful over time. So, would you read that, please?
Ecclesiasticus 10 and 1. A wise judge will instruct his people.
You see that? This is